Star in your role. Josh Hart's a role player, but the things he does contributes to winning.
When fans talk about Josh Hart, you often hear the same familiar phrases: glue guy, role player, X factor. And while those labels aren't entirely wrong, they don't capture the full picture. In fact, I think they actually undersell just how impactful Hart truly is. Josh Hart isn't a volume scorer, we know that. But the way he influences a game, it's on a level rarely seen, especially from a player his size.
Terrific defense again by the Knicks in the half court. Hart, gorgeous pass ahead. OG with the stuff.
Consider this stat line: 9 rebounds and 5.5 assists per game. Last season, only 4 players in the entire league averaged those numbers. 3 of them were nearly 7-footers, players widely considered to be among the most uniquely talented big men in the world. The fourth, Josh Hart, a 6'4" shooting guard, age 30, who has never made an all-star team. Now, that's where it gets interesting. How rare is it for a player under 6'5" to put up those kinds of numbers? No player did until the 1988-89 season. The player was Fat Lever, an explosive 6'3" point guard and one of the most underrated stars of the 1980s. Fat played the prime of his career for the Denver Nuggets alongside Alex English. He was the only player in that entire decade, aside from Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, to post 5 assists and 9 rebounds per game in a single season. Fat did it in back-to-back years, in fact, before knee injuries cut his career short at 33. While he might not be a Hall of Famer, Fat Lever made his impact felt. He currently ranks 13th all-time in triple-doubles, placing himself amongst legends. Speaking of triple-doubles, it wasn't until Kevin Durant left for Golden State in 2016 that Russell Westbrook became the second player under 6'5" to average 5 assists and 9 rebounds, famously averaging a triple-double and earning MVP honors. Westbrook has now done it in 4 separate seasons. And then there's Josh Hart.
Brooks in the fake, the drive, scoop shot, no, slam down, it's Hart.
He became only the 3rd player in league history, 6'4" or shorter, to put up that stat line. While this one stat is impressive, it doesn't really begin to scratch the surface regarding what Hart brings to the Knicks. As mentioned, it's almost unheard of for a player Hart's size to have such a massive impact on the glass. This chart lists all the top rebounders in the league and their height. As you can see, Hart places himself in a league of his own, as the only player shorter than 6'8" that contests for boards with the big boys. There are other elements to his game that would make you think that he was an undersized power forward.
Towns takes it strong, Hart is there! Clean up on aisle 3.
For instance, Josh Hart was an incredibly strong finisher at the rim. Unlike many guards in the league, Hart took nearly 41% of his shots from within 3 feet of the basket. And amongst all players that qualified as guards, according to NBA.com, he had the 4th best finishing rate in the league from in close.
Josh Hart gets inside. Tough shot, it goes, and the foul. Over the 6'10" Jonathan Isaac.
His inside game isn't predicated on electrifying dunks either. You'll rarely see him above the rim. Instead, he uses his incredibly underrated strength and timing to rack up easy buckets at an impressive rate. He racks up offense making backdoor cuts or leading in transition after pulling down a board.
Robinson got his body in there. Break opportunity for Hart. And Hart goes to the hole!
Amongst all players that averaged at least 1 bucket per game when driving to the basket, Hart had the 2nd best field goal percentage to Peyton Pritchard, proving that he has a lot more offensive game than he actually gets credit for. As a 3-point shooter, Hart isn't great, but he also isn't horrible considering all the other intangibles he brings to the table. Less than a third of his shots came from 3, so he's selective with his shooting, often deferring to high percentage looks. While his career 34% 3-point accuracy falls slightly below league average, Josh Hart has been clutch in the playoffs, shooting at least 37% during the Knicks' last 2 runs to the conference finals.
Bank shot.
He's averaging 15 points per game in the series. Hart another 3, and he hits another one. Josh Hart with 2 triples in the game.
Although Hart averaged under 14 points per game last season, he did so with an effective field goal percentage just short of 60%, well above league average.
Bad pass stolen by Hart, ahead to Towns, powers to the paint, and one.
Josh Hart has very underrated guard skills, particularly his ability to pass the rock. His 5.9 assists per game ranked top 30 in the league, ahead of many guys with much more ball handling responsibilities and greater reputations as passers. While doing so, he managed to limit his turnovers. But at the end of the day, the biggest differentiator in Hart's game is ironically his heart.
And Anunoby lets it fly, hits the rim, and another on board! Hart has it, off to Brunson, and that's the ball game!
Josh Hart is an incredibly well-conditioned athlete that clearly is way stronger physically than your average fan might realize. Last year, he finished second in the NBA in minutes played per game, only behind Tyrese Maxey. And all season long, Josh Hart was relentless.
Daniels up top, stolen by Hart. Hart to McBride, inside. Hart on a follow, won't go. Hart takes it back and scores.
His motor never stopped. It wasn't just rebounding. His 1.5 steals per game ranked 9th in the league, tied with acclaimed ball hawks like OG Anunoby, Draymond Green, and Tumani Kamara. But the stat that Josh Hart led the league in was loose balls recovered.
Josh Hart tracks it down. Another three, puts it in.
Once we look at all the intangibles and all the different ways that Josh Hart helps his team, we can recognize that Hart impacts winning at an all-star level. Basketball uses a stat called VORP, aka Value Over Replacement Player, to recognize how players actually impact winning versus their peers. The best players in the league, like Jokic, SGA, and Giannis, finished at the top of the category. Somewhat surprisingly, Josh Hart finished 17th, above plenty of other players that have earned a lot more All-Star appearances and recognition than he has. What this chart here shows is that the top 20 players in the league rated by VORP, higher their usage was this past season. Basically, their scoring aggressiveness on offense. Josh Hart, all the way in the bottom corner of the chart, had the lowest usage rate of all qualifying players, proving just how unique he is as a player that brings immense value without being expected to score like an all-star. Josh Hart isn't playing for clout or recognition. He plays the game for the sole purpose of winning. And that is why he is such an amazing player. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to Sports Insight.